Richard Dolan is a prominent American UFO researcher, historian, and author known for his extensive work on the UFO phenomenon and its implications.
I'm Richard Dolan, a historian on the topic of UFOs.
With over 2 decades of dedication, he has authored several influential books, including UFOs and the National Security State, a 2-volume historical study exploring UFO incidents and government cover-ups from 1941 to 1991.
Esteemed members of the committee, thank you for having me. I just have a short statement here. The UFO problem has involved military personnel around the world for more than 60 years, and it is wrapped in secrecy.
And UFOs for the 21st Century Mind, a comprehensive overview of the subject.
Stories of strange objects in the sky actually go far back in time, but from the 1940s to our own era, military personnel from the United States and many other nations have encountered unidentified flying objects.
Dolan also co-authored AD After Disclosure, which speculates on the societal impacts of UFO disclosure and the alien agendas, analyzing potential extraterrestrial motives.
Former head of the CIA, Roscoe Hillenkotter, speaking in 1960. Behind the scenes, high-ranking Air Force officers are soberly concerned about UFOs, but through official secrecy and ridicule, many citizens are led to believe the unknown flying objects are nonsense.
Through his publishing company, Richard Dolan Press, public lectures, and media appearances, he combines historical analysis with geopolitical and futuristic perspectives, earning recognition as a leading voice in ufology.
Now, how much clearer a statement should responsible citizens, academicians, media, and political leadership require before demanding to get some reasonable answers as to what is going on behind the scenes in relation to the phenomenon of UFOs? Because the problem certainly did not end during the 1960s or 1970s or 1980s, but has continued to the present day.
And today, Richard and I will talk about what's going on in our oceans.
Knowledge of the oceans is more than a matter of curiosity. Our very survival may hinge upon it. The seas offer a wealth of food for the people of the world. Mineral resources on land will ultimately reach their limits. We may be able to extract additional elements in the water, to predict, and perhaps someday to control changes in weather and climate is of the utmost importance to man everywhere. These changes are controlled to a large and yet unknown extent by what happens in the ocean. Additional research is necessary to identify the factors in this interplay. These are some of the reasons which compel us to embark upon an important national effort in oceanography. This is not a 1-year program or even a 10-year program. It is the first step in a continuing effort to acquire and apply the information about a part of our world that will ultimately determine conditions of life in the rest of the world. The opportunities are there. A vigorous program will capture those opportunities.
All right, veterans, look who I have in the house. You're not going to believe it. I twisted his arm, and I got him on the show, Mr. Richard Dolan. Thank you so much, man, for joining us.
Hi, Patrick. I think this is going to be really enjoyable. I'm looking forward to it.
Hell yeah. Awesome, man. Well, look, you clearly have a brand new book that's coming out. I've seen a couple of interviews of you going around and promoting it, and I even remember you talking about it ahead of time, you know, all the work you were putting into it. And then I realized this is just volume 1 of 3 that are going to be coming out. My goodness. So let me read the title here. So this is your new book. It's called The History of USOs, Unidentified Submerged Objects, Volume 1, From the Beginning to 1969.
Yeah.
Wow. And of course, I'll put a link in the description. No affiliate link. I make no money, y'all. Okay, I'm just trying to help Richard here sell some books. Let's go out and get them. We got Kindle, paperback, hardback, no excuses.
Audiobooks
Let's
coming
do.
out very, very soon, by the way.
Are you reading the
Not
audiobook?
this one, no. I'd love to, but you got to understand. I read one very long audiobook. I did UFOs for the 21st Century Mind, and I am still. This has taken years, but I'm in the process of still reading. I hate to even. This is almost embarrassing, but volume 2 of UFOs in the National Security State. That's a 600-page book, which has already truly broken 2 previous audio readers that I had hired. And it's too long for Amazon to do they have got the auto voice thing.
Yeah.
I would do it at this point for that, because some of their voices are decent, but it's too long for that. So the only way is I've got to read that volume 2 of National Security State, and I'm in it. So no, I can't. There's no way to read an audiobook for me. It's a huge undertaking, and so I'm just hiring. I got a really good reader. He's great, and he just sent me some more audio today, this morning. So I think that will be ready. Yeah, one of the chapters. So he's doing a nice job, and I think certainly within the month we'll have the audiobook out for that.
No, that's awesome. I will say this, and I totally get what you're saying, but from a fan perspective, and again, if I had to do this, I don't know what I would do personally, but I remember when Imminent came out, Luis Elizondo's book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he released an audiobook of it, and it was him speaking. And I can't tell you how many people told me in the vetted community, man, that was awesome that he read it. Like, it made me want to. It was like a 10-hour interview with him, and people were just so. And I don't know. I think that might have made a difference if he wasn't the one reading it. So I don't know. I don't know.
I totally understand that. I'm very sympathetic to it, and
yeah,
people have said the same about me. They want to hear me read my books,
sure.
And I would love to, believe me, but it's
just logistically
it's not easy. It's like, when you read a book, so like, you read through it, and you read, and then you make a mistake. You got to stop, and then you go over it, and then you start a new clip, and you keep going, and it takes a long time for every hour that's finished product. It's many, many more hours of reading, and then the post-production, all of which I'm terrible at, by the way.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I have done this process, and I may do it again, but for right now, it's like, look, I got to get this thing out because people want audiobooks.
That's true. People want audiobooks, man. That's how they listen. I mean, that's pretty much how I take in books too, is audio, because I can, do errands around the house. I can walk my dogs. I can be in the car. I can.
Absolutely. I think it would sound as good as an audiobook. There's a couple, I was about to say, marginally long-windy parts where I'm doing data analysis. I have a whole section in this where it's 35 pages where I'm doing a extended analysis of all of the data that I've amassed for these cases. But even that, I think is, I think it's a pretty good read. And then the cases themselves, they'll sound great on an audiobook.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
They're amazing.
Out
They're incredible cases.
So look, let's talk about this this book here, right? A history of USOs, right? Just UFOs underwater, as I just call it, but submerged objects underwater. And to be honest, I didn't realize there were so many events and incidents for you to be able to put together such, a collective of information here in cases. Like, I just didn't even realize there's that many available. Were you that surprised as well when you jumped into this?
I was quite surprised. Honestly, I was very surprised. So I started this project about 3 years ago in 2022.
Oh my God.
Just for my website. So I have a great website. I love the people there. And I was asked by one of the members about a particular case that is a USO case from the 1940s. And it's one that I had known about. So like what I'll often do is I'll create like a little video presentation for the members of the site. And I did that. And I thought, this is really interesting. Like, let's look for some others. And I want to ask myself, like, where am I going to scrounge these up? Like, where are there good sources of water-based accounts? And they're not easy. They were not easy to find automatically. There was one website from a recently deceased researcher named Carl Feind. And I had known Carl, and he was a great guy. And he did very exceptional work on UFOs in water. So he wasn't just looking at USOs. He was looking at the interaction of UFOs with water scientifically, and in all types of water, including like rain and fog, which I was less interested in for this study. But I mean, that's legit what he was doing. But
Sure.
anyway, Carl had written a very good book on this, and he had collected well over 1,000 cases for his website, which was still fully available when I started looking. It's kind of in limbo now. But anyway, I went through everything on Carl's website, which was great. And then to be clear, only a percentage of those cases were, in my opinion, really appropriate for what I was looking for. But there were a lot that were. And then I went into the National UFO Reporting Center, which is one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
It's not the best organization, I mean, I have to say, but they have a huge amount of information in there. And I went through all of that. I have to say I was very, very, very thorough with that. There's thousands and thousands. And I was looking for any kind of water-based, Navy-based, lakes, rivers, oceans, didn't matter. And then I was very lucky to get access to the MUFON database. It's called their CMS. I'm not a MUFON investigator. I mean, officially, I shouldn't have access, but the MUFON leadership was very nice to me about this, and they allowed me full access to their cases. And then, I just hunted down like out of print magazines and books. And
oh my gosh, so sorry.
We all have animals. I've got a cat. She's less loud, but she will make herself known every now and then.
Killer.
But anyway, I just hunted through all of the sources that I knew how to find.
Yeah.
George Filer has a site called Filer's Files.
Hang on, Rich. I'm so sorry. Chicos, vámonos, ya está. Para, por Dios. Okay. Sorry. They are Spanish dogs, actually. So I speak to them in Spanish. My apologies.
That's awesome.
I'm so sorry.
Dogs like people come in all different languages. So why should we be surprised?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so sorry. Please.
Yeah. So that's it. So I hunted down. This is fun.
Oh, you know what, Richard? Hang on. There is someone at my door. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. Hang on.
Don't worry about it. Oh.
A few moments later.
Okay, had a package delivered. My God, what about timing there? Jesus, I'm so sorry, Richard.
Don't worry about it.
Really,
it's
I mean that.
Totally normal.
Okay.
I haven't lost my train of thought. We're good.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. So after just gathering together all the different sources, and it took a while to really find them all. And in fact, really through the course of researching this and writing it, I continually was finding more sources, many, like a lot of obscure magazines from the 1970s and things like this. So it was fun.
That.
It was actually, that part is always enjoyable for me. And I just would go through all the candidates, as I would call them. I mean, I went through thousands and thousands of potential USO cases and ended up selecting a little bit less than 700 of them for inclusion. Wow. And initially, I don't know that I could say I had a specific criterion or set of criteria other than that the case had to seem interesting and worthy to me. It was a purely subjective decision. Really what I was looking for were a couple of things. I couldn't just take a case that was so bare bones, and a lot of them are. You get cases where it's like literally a sentence or two sentences, and there's just not much to go on. And I certainly would discard cases that just seemed a little too crazy or difficult to believe. Sometimes that is subjective. And I wanted to include cases that I thought at least there is an opportunity for me to do some kind of follow-up, even if the person's dead, but if like I'm looking for specific dates and specific locations and things like this. So once I put those cases all in one collection, I did actually develop a evidence rating system that I incorporated into the book. And this actually started out as a suggestion from my wife, Tracy. She wasn't thinking of rating the evidence, but she said, you got all these cases. Some of them are really short and brief. Some are really long. Like, wouldn't it be nice if you just had a series of facts at the beginning of each one, like basic, like what did the thing look like? What shape was it? What color was it? How close was the witness to it? What was it doing with the water? Was it under the water? Was it emerging from the water, and so forth?
Oh, I love
And
this. Yeah.
it was a good idea. I almost didn't want to do it because it was more work, but
What's more work? Yeah.
I thought, well, I'm going to do this. So I went back over the cases, and this took actually several months, but I went back and I extracted from each case roughly about 15 different data points. And I did
Oh my
do that
God.
for yeah, but it was worth it.
Yeah, totally.
And like, did it happen in the daytime or at night? It was a simple thing, but I'm very
Sure.
glad I did that.
Sure.
Did the object express a potential interest in the witness?
Sure.
That's a subjective one, but I really tried to be careful about that. So I put all of these things in there. And then once that was done, I thought, well, really, this should be a spreadsheet. And I'd
Oh, you
never
made
made
a
it.
oh my God.
It was the first spreadsheet I ever created in my life. I'd
Oh,
never done it.
really?
So it's massive.
That's
Someone
funny.
actually gave me a little quick tutorial on like how to do this, but I put
Yeah.
that together. And Matt, by the way, that's a free download on my website as a PDF. It's 37
Really?
pages. It's very long, and it helps probably to have the book to understand what is in there. But yes, I made that available. It's like every single case, all the data points, strength of evidence, all of that stuff. It's in there. And the strength of evidence, what I broke down was I put 5 different factors and I gave them a weighted level of significance. And I don't have to go into the whole thing here, but essentially, like, how good is the source, honestly? Like, are we talking about just someone, telling their dad's story 50 years later? Not that that could be untrue. That could be totally true. But compared with, multiple newspaper accounts or declassified government documents, or even if it was a MUFON investigated case, like, you look for things like this. So the strength of that source, any level of corroboration, how quickly was the report made from when it happened, how close was the witness to the actual thing, whatever was being reported, things like this. So I tried to factor in a variety of these things to give a kind of, from the low of 2, the high of 12, and for basically
A scoring system of
scoring system.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And that exists
Wow.
for every case.
Yeah. Oh,
And
wow.
in the spreadsheet, you can read how each case is broken down
Sure.
by each factor. So I try to
Sure.
be very upfront and transparent about the whole process that I did. I'm not
Sure.
saying it's perfect. I'm sure it is not, but it was the best I could do. And I think it's a reasonably good start. Other people can take that idea and certainly improve on it. I have no doubt.